Morning, everybody. 8 a.m. Welcome to my channel, June 22nd. We had that 3-day free of trading weekend here due to Juneteenth. Hope everybody had a good weekend. Now, of course, the Iranians walked out of the negotiations because of Trump's threats over the weekend, but then they've just said that they're making progress, so the market recovered. It's a shocker. That just seems to keep happening, right? So that's where we are now. Now, the big story this week is going to be Micron's earnings on Wednesday. Okay. So Micron is up 4.32% this morning. It's friggin' ripping. Okay. Also, what's been getting love recently, not only semis, but it's like the build out, data center build out stocks. Okay. Those are getting love too. GE Vernovas, Vertivs. Okay. That's along with the memory, SanDisk, Western Digital, Microns. Okay. They're just keep trucking. There was a pullback in those, but it got bought up. Okay. That's the one thing I don't see going down much. And I own GE Vernova at like 260 or something like that. And I was like, oh, this could be the pullback. And it was. Because they're not going to pull back too much because everybody's building out data centers. I don't think for 2 to 3 years we're not going to see them pull back too much. Okay. Caterpillar too is part of the construction. That's why it's been ripping. All right, it's up 1.44%. So that is the data center build out. Okay. This week we got a full week trading. Like I said, Micron's earnings. And then we have core PCE. It's basically what's going on. All right. We just got over quad witching. Sometimes after quad witching, when all that money comes off the table, there's a change in markets, but it doesn't always have to happen. Okay. But now we're on to a different monthly expiration now. New futures contract, so we don't have to worry about that. All right. Quick trade recap for myself. I was short and just didn't adjust my risk correctly. I really can't believe I really can't believe I did that, because when I had the short on Friday, beautiful short, I risked 20 points looking for a bigger move. Now I know why I did that, because the volatility was pretty good in the morning. But once I did that, hoping to clear out the lows, the market start to really slow down. And I still could have had a 10-point risk, which would have made my stop 5 points above the high day. I could have even went risked smaller. But then I was up 20 points in the trade. I would have been out of the trade. And then it came back and got my break even. Even actually would have never even got my original stop. So that would have been a nice 2-hour trade, 200% return that I basically had to take a break even on. So for the week, I was flat, but I had other trades, options trades, stock trades that I made money last week. So I was positive for the week, just not futures was flat. I mean, all honesty, futures, I was up a little bit, but I'll just call it flat. Okay. So still trading pretty good. Seeing the markets pretty good. All right. Last week was rollover and quad witching, so futures markets get a little weird. All right. All right. Let's get into this. Welcome to my channel. My name is Steve Gonzalez. I use market profile and buy and profile to find structure in the markets, along supply and demand, gamma exposed levels, the most traded price of the year, the month, the week, and the previous day. That is my edge. That's where I come up with game plans. Now, once that market opens up, I use market internals. I want to see where money flows are going to. What is driving the markets off the open? I don't care about the previous day's close. Along with anchor view ups, gamma flip points, which I give away for free on my Discord. My weekly expected move indicator, which also for Thinkorswim, I give away for free on my Discord. Okay. Little ICT. Based on my own proprietary trading system. Okay. Basically, it's Confluence. Okay, that's my name. All right, so that's basically what I do. I want to see a bunch of things line up, and then generally I've been watching markets for almost 8 years, and I pretty much know how the market's going to shape out every day based on experience and stuff like that. So I lean heavy on the story, and then I use Confluence to then put risk on. All right, because I generally know what the market's going to do. Right, unless there's a news catalyst, no one knows that. Okay, all right. Now, if you like, join me every morning. Subscribe, set that alert. Give you the market news, economic calendar, technical analysis, and I always leave you with the long and short trade scenarios and the Nasdaq and the ES futures later on in the stream. Now, if you want more in-depth coverage, you're going to join my Discord. That's Confluence Trading. Go to my YouTube homepage, click on the link, and sign up. What are you waiting for? Let me be your indicator. I should go live around 9:45 a.m. today. Please come join me. All right. And I forgot. I hope everybody who's a father had a good Father's Day over the weekend. I had a good one. So, forgot to mention that. Now, let's get into the futures watch list here. The futures watch list. All right. Who's leading? Ethereum. All right. Ethereum is up 3.70%. VIX is up 2.86. Bitcoin's up 2.81. So Bitcoin's hovering around the 64K. It hasn't really dropped through the 60K. I think it did briefly. Is that the bottom? Don't know. I know a lot of people are calling 50K the bottom. I don't know. All right. 10-year yield's up 0.92. So that's a little bit of an anomaly, okay, because crude's down. Generally, when crude's down, yields go down. This is a little bit of an anomaly here. Silver's up 0.5, Russell's up 0.23. Nasdaq's up 0.16, the Dow's up 0.12, the dollar's flat, ES is flat. Gold down 0.43, 30-year bonds being sold, hence yields are up, okay? And crude down 1.17. Now, crude was up on the Sunday 6 p.m. open in futures, but a lot of times you can't really trust what happens on the Sunday night open, okay? Because there's a lot of time until the market opens, right? And already we opened up, gap down, push down, and it doesn't even matter, okay? It means nothing now, okay? That's why you don't want to over panic or over look at futures on Sunday night, because it's great, I mean, if you're trading it, but really matters what's happening to us this morning, okay? Max up. Oop. All right. So I did move Micron up into this list. It's just one of the largest market caps, okay? So I have to put it in this list. And it's up 4.15%. Remember to report earnings on Wednesday. Caterpillar, like I said, data center build out. That's part of the construction. That's been on a monster run. Up 2.45%. Coinbase up 0.82. And go to the 50 percenters. Apple down over 0.5%. Amazon down 0.57. Meta down 0.58. Broadcom down 0.77. Tesla down 0.91. And Google is the laggard today. Google is the laggard, down 1.74%. Top sectors. GE Vernova, remember, data center build out. Data center build out. That is getting money flows. Up 2.32%. Chevron up 1.38. Okay. Exxon up 0.86. McDonald's is flat. Who is down? Qualcomm's down 0.60. Salesforce down 0.68. Oracle down 1%. Palantir down 1.31. NEM. I was long NEM last week and I got out right in time for this dump. Okay. Down 1.34%. Okay. Software getting hit a little bit this morning. Okay. Software is getting hit. Now you look at Salesforce. They had a little bump. Same with Palantir, same with Oracle. Palantir is at a clear support and it's losing it. You look at a chart of Palantir, it is hanging out at that bottom. Okay, so software had a bump, but then lost the steam. Okay, sectors. Semiconductors leading, up 0.78, followed by energy. Okay, energy. Crude is down, energy's up. And I'll show you a little bit of a reason. Probably energy is catching a tiny bit of a bid. Okay. Technology up 0.27. Financials up 0.13. Now, lagging, discretionary down 0.10. And your lagger is communications down 0.19. That's your Google. That's your Google. That's your Meta. That's your Netflix. Okay. Now, that's also a sector to watch. Okay. Starting to get a little oversold, and the only one that wasn't participating in moving lower was Google. Well, it's participating now. Okay. So let's move on. Economic calendar. So what do we have today? We have Fed Waller speaking at 9 a.m. Okay. And then as the week goes on, 30-year mortgage, new home sales. Okay. Fed Bank stress test results, which they usually always pass. Core PCE. Okay. Some Fed speak. And that's really it. Like I said, Micron's earnings on Wednesday is the big thing. Micron's earnings. Okay. If there's any latest news here. Let me go back to here. Yeah, SpaceX has been falling. The Prime Minister of England is going to step down. Just looking for any other story that I see here. We already know, I talked about it. Iran says now there's progress being made, so that's why we paired the losses. Here we don't have, oh, Vance is speaking. He already spoke. Trump's schedule, there's not really much there. Okay. In news, yeah, look, U.S.-Iran talks make encouraging progress. That's why the market's recovered. China targets for U.S. rare earth and other firms with export controls. U.S. scientist John Jumper to lead Google DeepMind for Anthropic. Not sure if that's why Google's down. Okay. Let's see if anybody else is in the news here that I didn't know about. No. Looks like Tesla got a target raise from 375 from 350. Okay. Now we're going to go to a couple things here. Fed Watch Tool. Okay. Fed Watch Tool. So the big thing is that Warsh is kind of acting like he's a little hawkish. Okay. So rates right now are at 3.5, 3.75. Okay. So you could see the next meeting, 93% chance of a pause, and current 36% chance of a hike. All right. And as we go on, the hike is a 50% chance of a hike in September. See October. See, there's no cuts. Okay. Still looking at maybe a hike. December. Still looking at hikes. What I'm hearing is 2 hikes could happen. Okay. We'll see. All right. We'll see. All right. Let's look at some breadth readings here. Always good to look at the breadth. All right. So on the 20-day, we're at 52%. That is right in the middle. That kind of tells you all you need to know. 52% of stocks above and below, or above the 50-day moving, the 20-day moving average. I'm sorry. Now that's the faster moving average. If we go to the 50, 56. So the overall market is just nowhere. We know that data center build out, semis are getting money flows, okay? But the overall market is middling. There's nothing going on really, okay? Now, if we go to the bullish percent index, and again, the bullish percent index is based on point and figure charts. It takes the 500 stocks individually and says, are they on buy signals? Now, point and figure charts, you can look it up yourself, doesn't use time, okay? And what do we have? matches the breadth, what I just showed you, 55% on buy signals. That just tells you. So basically the breadth in this kind of align most times. Let's look at the NASDAQ 100. It's a little weaker, 48% on buy signals, even though technology's been running our market, right? Let me go one step further in technology, 46. Because that's going to basically line up with the NDX, okay? 46%. Okay. Still kind of middling, right? The only ones that stand out to me, okay, is energy. Energy is oversold. See that? It's only 14% of the stocks in the energy sector are on buy signals. Now, we know why, obviously. Makes sense that the deal's happening. People are going to sell oil, okay, the energy stocks. And just so happens, like clockwork, energy's being bought this morning, okay? Now, how bullish can you be in energy? Maybe for a bounce, maybe, right? Until you got that little, Middle East tension, well, gave enough people to buy energy this morning. Now, does it stick? I don't know. Okay. So I think maybe a bounce, you get a bounce in here, as you probably can sell it because most likely we're going to make a deal. All right. Now, the only one that doesn't match is communications. Okay. I'm going to show you. Okay. Communications is at 43%. Doesn't really look that bad. Doesn't really look that bad. Okay. But, and just to make you understand it further, when I do bullish percent index, it's based on equal weight. It's not based on market cap. So sometimes they're not going to match. Hence, communications. Because if we look at communications, the XLC, it is very weak. Okay. Now that Google came in this morning, we're at 108. We're down here now. So this has got my attention. This has got my attention. Okay. I want to see possibly can we undercut this low, right? Now that Google got involved with the selling. And to see how you're going to come up to this consolidation. So I have something, I don't know if I'll go individual stock or I'll go sector, but this has my attention. This is the one sector that, oh, okay, it's not middling, it's actually weak with energy. Okay. But the other ones are just in the middle. They're in the middle, and it's just like, ugh. It's like the breath, right? All right, that's what's going on. Okay, I just wanted to show you guys that. Now we're going to move on. What are we going to move on to? Market internals. And I don't have my gamma levels up here. That's another day. Okay, so market internals. So right off the bat, when we opened, right, I got that. I was in this short. I had that move. And I thought we were going to break possibly down lower, but we didn't, right? Internals really were anybody's game on Friday. And you can see tech was strong. That's why we didn't go down. Because look at all the rest of the sectors. They were not strong, okay? They were not strong, all right? They were just not. So, what was I going to mention here? What we did do is close right around 7,500 or right at 7,500, okay? Now, I don't have them on my screen, but 7,500 was the largest gamma level in the SPX, and I was really contemplating on putting a butterfly on. It would have been like $2, cost me $2 to make 750. And I was mentioning it, and I was like, I don't know. And it wound up coming to fruition. I got to really track those stats, okay? Because it happens a decent amount of times. It's probably worth it. That risk to reward is worth it, okay? That risk to reward is worth it. That's your market internals. Let's move on to daily charts. So here's our dailies. Remember, we have that daily supply zone there. Okay. This market is kind of like now in the middle of no man's land. Look at this overall market. We're just trading in this big range, okay? And the big keys to you want to look at is the 20-day. Look at that flat 20-day. That tells you a lot. And look at the 90 MA daily starting to flatten out. It just tells you, all right, our market's not really doing much. Okay. Yes, we just went up, we went down, but at the end of the day, it's starting to just chill. All right. Now, where's the market now? 747s. Right. Wow. We're right at like the open of Friday or Thursday. Okay. Not telling you, not giving you much. Okay. Let's look at futures. Here's that daily supply that I put on my chart, right? It has been a problem. Okay. We came in here, got sold. Came in again, got sold. Came in again, got sold. Okay. Now you got a nice little hammer here pushing up into this supply. Does it take it out? I don't know. Daily supplies are pretty tough. Okay, they are pretty tough to work off. All right, so that's what's really going on. Look, flatten 20-day, flatten 90 MA daily, coming up into another. So you have another daily supply here as well. So it's a lot of overhead supply. Not easy for the market to go higher. Doesn't mean it's a short. It just means it has a lot of work to do. Now, can Micron help that? It could. Okay, it could. Qs also in daily supply, right? On the QQQ chart, right? And you notice, because the Qs are relatively stronger on last Thursday, okay, went into the daily supply. What did it do? Found resistance at the previous month's highs. Where are we now? 741.56. 741.56. You are at Friday's highs, okay? Thursday's highs, okay? You are currently gapping up. The ES is not. That's kind of been what the theme has been, okay? NQ relatively stronger. What did I say? We saw data center build out, semis and memory, and construction all getting money flows. That's what's holding up the market, okay? That's really it. Data center build outs weren't happening, our markets would be down, okay? Futures. Okay, futures. Now, you can see the NASDAQ just looks stronger. And you have a balanced range. Now, if we look at this range, to me, it looks very bullish. Okay, it looks very bullish. Let me get my little marker out. Looks very bullish. All right, because simple as this. Okay, if you wanna little ICT stuff, it doesn't really matter. You can talk about it any way you want. But there is the AMD, the accumulation, the manipulation, and the distribution, right? Or consolidation breakout. Doesn't matter how you look at it. Okay? But look at this right here. Accumulation. There's your manipulation wick. And now we're going to distribute. And it looks like it probably wants to go higher. Now, we could stay in balance and come back down here, but it's still, to me, having that wick here, I'd say the easier route is to go higher. Okay? Is to go higher. And again, I don't know what's going to happen. Okay? We're at last month's highs. Last month's highs. Okay? And you can see consolidate, push up, consolidate. Like I said, unless it's a sell the earnings for Micron, I don't know. I think it's just up. Okay? Moving on, hourly charts. And pretty standard here. Like I said, well, this just gets a little higher resolution of what's been going on. Okay, here's our hourlies. And really, this is the ES, obviously. And there is a downtrend line here coming right here, but a lot of overhead supply. That's why I have a lot of overlapping supplies here to let me know, hey, you go hot, you go long in here. Don't expect to just rip apart, and just rip. It's not set up for that. You have to work. It's going to make longs work here. Okay, it's going to make longs work. So we opened up, gap down, pushed down, and then went into this demand, and now you're working yourself off. So the shorts that came in, they're gone. But we're starting to make a balance area. And you can see right here around the 75.83s could be our balance highs around this area. And then we could have balance lows at around the 75.13s. I don't know. Okay. Sometimes balance areas form and they stay for a while, or they only have a little time spent here. I don't know. I could tell you one thing is I'm not excited about longs here at all. All right. Now there is poor structure to the downside here. Okay. Now, if this gets some resistance here, we can come back down, clean that up, and try to go test the 75.13s. Okay. So that's the general theme here. Hard to go up. We have poor structure that we can clean up to the downside. It all matters where money flows goes today. Okay. I do like the positioning where we're at. I like it. Okay. Because this should be resistance. 75, 82s, 80s. It should be resistance if we stay in balance, and then you could take advantage and then get a nice move lower. Okay. So as far as the chart looks, I like the location we are in. Moving on to NASDAQ. The NASDAQ, the NQ. Okay, let's look at the NQ together. Okay, remember, relatively stronger. You can already see, look, you're taking out the swing high. It's just relatively stronger. Okay, holding above, remember, we're in ultimate balance here. 307 is your most traded price for the rolling month. We are in a heavy supply right now. So we haven't really tested this area too much. Since we dropped from this area, we've tried to come, sold. Tried to come, sold, and now we're trying again. Remember, this is last month's highs right here. Okay. So again, still, I don't see us coming and smashing through this area because it's just heavy supply. But you're easier along right now, pre-market would be in the NASDAQ. Okay, not in the ES. It would be in the NASDAQ. Okay. But it has a hard road to go up. It's not going to be easy. Of course, news catalysts can come out. So I would say favor longs in NQ, favor shorts in ES. Okay. All right, let's move on. Let's go to that market profile, volume profile now. Okay. Here's your market profile, volume profile. Beautifully displayed. As every lighter shaded area is overnight sessions, every darker shaded area is regular time trading hours, 9:30 to 4:15. Okay. I love how I can see them separated. It just makes it so much easier on the eyes for myself. I know some people who are new might look at candlesticks, but this to me just looks like perfect. Okay? Looks perfect. Now, there is a 75.58 24-hour most traded price of the week, 75.58. Okay? the current most traded price of the week. Where is that? Am I going crazy? Is it not even around here? Where is that? Hold on. Let's look at this. It's another chart here. Okay. It is at 76.30s. So we're kind of an ultimate balance, but up above here. 76.30. So that's not in the picture here. Yeah. Oh, it's right here. Oh, I'm sorry. Right there. That's where it is because it was hidden by a supply zone. Okay. So what we're going to do, I'm just going to go right into scenarios here in the ES. Okay. And what we're going to do is break out the session. Now, there's a little garbage session from Friday right here. That doesn't even matter to me, that session, okay? I can combine it. Let me just combine it. Let's merge it. Let's just merge it. It's much easier to look at, okay? Okay. So, clearly, like I said, the 75-80 area with heavy supply is the area to look at. Okay, it is the area to look at. All right. Now, like I said, there's poor structure below us. There's inefficiencies. There's bullish fair value gaps. Okay. From 75.60 to 75.47. And from 75.46 to 75.36. Okay. Those areas are susceptible, if the market turns over, to get cleaned up. Okay, they're susceptible to get cleaned up. Remember, if they are supported, that's generally going to be bullish. That's generally going to be bullish. But we're in supply. Remember the heavy supply I talked about. All right, so I'm going to start off here with shorts. Okay, so right now we're at the highs of the overnight. Okay, now we have these 81s, 83s here. That is going to be interesting to see what we do at this level. Okay, what I would like to see, push up, take out the 83s. Okay, take out the 81s. All right, sweep that, come back inside, put a lower high in, and that would be a short. Okay, if I hold that, I'm going to target this swing low around the 75.30s. Okay, then I will go after 75.13, which is the overnight lows. Okay, then there's this little demand here. It's not a big one. It's not a big one. It's not a big one. All right, we can go down to the 74.92s. Okay. Now, if you want to be a little more conservative, okay, you wait for any sweep of the overnight highs or Friday's highs, 75.81s, and you wait for the market to come back under the most traded price of Thursday, which is 75.67s. You come through that price, retest the 75.67s, and then you can try to go after this swing low, 75.30s, the overnight low, 75.13s. Okay. Now, of course, nothing's perfect. We can go higher than this. There's just a lot of overhead supply. Okay. Now, moving on to longs. If we're going to talk about longs, we also can use the 75.67s as support. Okay. And how would we do that? Well, if we push up, we take out that supply zone around the 75.90s. Okay. If we come up and take it out, okay, great. And let's say we find ourselves hanging out here, finding acceptance, and then we get a pullback. Pull back down to 75.67s, I would say, and it holds, that's a long. Make a higher low, you go wrong, and take out the current, whatever it is, the high a day. Okay. Then there's a clear level around the 76.12s you can target. Okay. Now, you do have the bullish for value gaps that I said below us here. Okay. So this is how, for my preference for my trading style, I want to see very quick pullbacks into this first bullish for value gap. Any support in this is bullish. So you support higher low, you go long. You target the high day, you target the 76.12s. Okay. Even the next one. Quick pullback gets bought, you got to go long. Okay. Now down here, maybe we come into that balance area that I said could form. I don't know. Okay. And I'm not a fan of it too much, but if you take out an alternative long, and it's only if the market's not too weak, the 75.13s, if you come down here and you take out the 75.13s and you kind of just bounce, you could probably get a little sneaky long here. Okay. I would target probably the 75.58s. Okay. So that's the ES. Now, looking at the NASDAQ here. Remember, NASDAQ's relatively strong. Even if you look at this chart, right? What do I see right off the bat? Stands out to me. Look at this session. This overnight session from Sunday night. It engulfs. It's a bullish engulfing session of all the prior sessions. Pretty bullish. Remember, I was saying that the NASDAQ just looks bullish to me. Okay. And it's not a rocket science. It's because it is, right? And we're in ultimate balance, right? 307 is the most traded price of the week. And the 304.50s is the most traded price. I'm sorry, the 307s is the most traded price of the month. The 304.50s is the most traded price of the week. You're in ultimate balance. Now, this is getting ready to make a big move. Whenever you hang around in these areas, ultimate balance, they coil, and you just think about it. It's people's behavior. If the people are saying the fairest price of the week is 304.50 and the most fairest price of the month is 307, and the market's accepting price above both of those areas, well, you have to think the most longs and most shorts are at these levels. And the more you go away from this area, the more people you're going to hurt. Okay? That's just how it works. It's people's behavior. The volume profile shows you people's behavior. Who's buying and selling the most contracts at what price? 307 in the NASDAQ, 304.50 in the NASDAQ for the last week. We're above those levels. It's bullish. Okay? But we are in heavy supply. So whenever we're in heavy supply, what do I like to see? Okay? Think about it like Pac-Man or Dig Dug. I think that's the name of it. Where you just clean it up. I want some of this taken out for me to get a pullback for me to go long. Okay? That's how whenever I see this heavy supply, it never makes me excited to go long. I want this to be taken out, let somebody else do the hard work, and then I'll come in and take the pullback. Okay? Now let's get into the NASDAQ scenarios, long and short. Okay? And what we'll do, we are gapping up. Okay? So, obviously, the level to look at first is your gap fill. Your gap fill is this 307.83s. 307.83s is the gap fill. We have a little baby gap here. There's a little baby gap here. And the main thing is we're accepting price above 307, the most traded price of the month. That tells you, I guess, the posture of the market structure. It's just strong. It's bullish. You can't look at it any other way. That's what I'm saying. You can't look at it any other way. It's not my opinion. It's the most traded price of the month, and you're accepting price above it. Hey, that's bullish. That's all you got to say. So I'm going to start with longs here in the NASDAQ. Okay. What am I looking to do? Okay. This is a high volume node from the past, the 308.70s. So, and you have heavy supply. So what could I expect to happen? Well, I maybe get a little selling here. All right. Gap up, get a pullback. Now, what are you going to look for in that pullback? Well, of course, there's the gap fill, the 307.83s. Okay. That could be a launch point. Very easy to go long here. And I would target the 309.75s. Now, does it happen perfectly like that? It could be. I would really going to look for me myself, a pullback to the 307s, the most traded price of the month, and the most traded price of last Thursday. That is the area I want to see hold. Okay? That is the area I want to see get support. And it might not be pretty. It might come, and this is the bullish for value gap as well. So you even have more confluence here. Okay? As long as this holds and you get that higher low, I'm sorry, then that's where you're going to target. Okay? Probably the current high a day. And then go for that 309.75. And anything on top of that is put a cherry. It's extra. It's extra. So basically, this setup would be the ultimate balance hold. Okay? And it's just bullish. Let some buyers work off this supply, and then you get in on the pullback. Okay? Now, remember I said bullish for value gaps are inefficiencies that in a weak market get taken out, but in a strong market, they are supportive. So you got to look at them both ways. You do have a bullish for value gap. So 307.32s to 306.64s and 306.37s to 305.91s. Okay, now that we got that out of the way. Remember, what I want to see is a quick pullback. Even if you take out the 307s, that's fine, but as long as it's quick. Come right into this second bullish for value gap. Boom. Hold that 307s. You go long. Okay. Target the 309.75, 310 area. Okay. Inside this area, between the 307s and the 304.50s, I'm not a fan of time spent in there. You're going to get chopped up. Now remember, that's why I say these pullbacks have to be quick. I don't want to meander in here. You're probably not going to get out of there very quickly. Okay? You're just not. That's all I like for the NASDAQ. Shorts. We're in heavy supply. We're at a high volume node from the past. Okay? Around the 308.70s. We're getting a little rejection here. Okay? So what could I see? Well, let's take out that overnight high. Come right into that high volume node, the 308.70s. Boom, get rejected, put a lower high in, then you target the 307s, the most traded price of the month. Okay, if the market really starts to get money outflows in tech, hold on. You got inefficiencies below us. Remember, take out the poor structure. Whoop. Then you go tackle around the 305.20 area, this swing low. Then you go for the 304.50s. All right, and then try to take out the overnight low, 303.36s. Okay, 303 is another high volume node. That might be it for the day. Okay, I'll leave you one more conservative one. If you don't want to short up here, you'll wait for the 307s to get taken out and you find acceptance below it and your market starts to hold. Wait for a retest, the 307s. Short that. And like I said, target the 303.36s. Okay? That's all I like there. That's it for me, folks. Now, let me give you my overall market outlook, and then I'll leave you guys. All right? So, ES is the easier short. It's plain and simple. We're an overhead supply. We're not gapping up, and there's poor structure below us. Okay? That's the bottom line for Monday morning. Now, NASDAQ. NASDAQ is relatively stronger. Holding over 307 is bullish. You don't want to lose 307. Okay? So that's and now what does that make? It makes a market hard to trade as well. Because if you have a bullish NASDAQ, that has to hold the 307s, right? And it might not want to give it up. It's going to be hard to short ES. Okay? So I expect it not to be easy. Okay? So that's it for me today, folks. Please smash that like button if you enjoyed my analysis. Much appreciated if you smash the like button. Now, as always, you join me every morning. Subscribe, set that alert. Give you the market story, the market news, the economic calendar, technical analysis, and I just gave you the long and short trade scenarios in the ES and the NASDAQ futures. As always, if you want more in-depth coverage, you're going to join my Discord. That's Confluence Trading. Go to my YouTube homepage, click on the link, and sign up. What are you waiting for? Let me be your indicator. Okay? Now, everybody, hopefully you can join me live at 9:45 a.m. If you cannot, I'll see everybody tomorrow morning. live on YouTube. Okay. Everybody have a great day. We have a process. Remember, no trade to trade, and I hope to see everybody.